The following video contains themes of sexual assault and trauma. Viewer discretion is advised. The 2012 film adaptation of Les Miserables is pretty divisive among those who have seen it. Some saw it as a really strong new version that captured the epic, emotional feel of the original, others saw it as a tone-deaf mess, and other opinions ranged anywhere in between. But amidst all that debate, there were a few elements that everyone could agree on. One such element was the near universal acclaim for Anne Hathaway's performance, particularly her rendition of the musical's iconic song, I Dreamed a Dream.
I dreamed a dream in time gone by.
But what about her performance makes it work as well as it does? Quick disclaimer before we start, as much as I'm going to praise Hathaway's performance, I'd also like to mention that she and other actors in this movie were performing under circumstances that could have done potentially permanent damage to their voices. I'm not a vocal expert by any means, but if you want to know what I'm talking about, go watch Sideways' video on the topic. I'll leave the link in the description. Just note that I'm not endorsing the conditions that these actors were performing under, and I think Hathaway could have still given a similar performance if she was lip-syncing to a studio recording, which, more importantly, would have been a lot safer. So to recap, Hathaway plays a factory worker named Fantine, who has recently become poverty-stricken upon losing her job and her partner abandoning her. Now, needing to find other ways of financially supporting her daughter Cosette, she has to turn to progressively more desperate measures, from selling her hair to selling her teeth, and finally resorting to prostitution. At this point, Fantine sees no light at the end of the tunnel, leading her to sing I Dreamed a Dream, a song about how her relationship with her former partner seems so promising and the betrayal she feels from him leaving her to fend for both herself and for Cosette. The scene begins as Fantine finishes with a client, while she suffers in a horribly uncomfortable silence, the only noise being from the client as he breathes heavily over her. The silence being heightened by immediately following the ending crescendo of the previous song, Lovely Ladies.
Dead.
The client leaves as we hear him toss her a single coin. So we can tell that on top of her working a job as miserable as this, she's also earning virtually nothing, making the situation even more soul-crushing. She begins singing. The first few lyrics are quiet, with Hathaway whispering at times while on the verge of tears.
There was a time when love was blind.
She sits up from her bed, and from this point on, the song is performed from this one camera shot, never cutting away once, instead just letting Hathaway's emotions take center stage. Fantine sings a little louder, her face a mix of sadness and bitter exhaustion as her happier days seem so long ago. For a split second, there's even an incredibly subtle smile as she looks back on those times.
No song unsung, no wine untasted.
As the song progresses, she becomes more emotionally overwhelmed as her singing gets even louder and her frustration turns into outright anger. Her gentle sobbing is now replaced with uncontrollable crying.
And still I dream he'll come to me.
She starts shouting in resentment of her former partner.
He took my childhood and his stride.
And she even starts gasping for breath in between verses due to the sheer stress of her situation.
I had a dream my life would be.
The song ends with my personal favorite part of the scene, with Fantine just sitting there with a facial expression that just asks, is this really what my life has become? And after just a few seconds of silence, seeing no way out, nearly all emotion just leaves her face, replaced instead with reluctant defeat. In her mind, she's answered her question. Yeah, it is. And thus concludes what I and many others consider the absolute emotional and tragic pinnacle of this movie. In just a few minutes, the movie manages to convey so much emotion through a few camera shots, a good song, and the line delivery and facial acting of Anne Hathaway in one of the greatest performances of her career. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to subscribe and click that bell to be notified when I upload next. Shout out to Nado V Movies for organizing One Musical Scene, and take a look at any of the other videos in the One Musical Scene playlist if that takes your interest. I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.